guys, WhisperSister. I wanted to make this video on a specific topic, I guess. It's kind of, just my thoughts about assumptions and why we make them and how we can sort of see past them. I was reading this book and I came across a quote that sort of started me thinking about this stuff, and it was a couple days ago. It was from, there's my heat again. It was from this, I have a copy of Be Here Now by Ram Dass, and in the back there's this, what they call it, cookbook for a sacred life. It's just like a little booklet in the back of the book, and it's just got, I'm going to read through it, it seems pretty cool, but at the very beginning there's all these little quotes and things, and this one is by a guy named Peter Ouspensky, who was a Russian philosopher in the late 1800s, early 1900s. And I'll just read you the quote, and then I'll talk to you about what it made me think of, because it really rang true for me. I could identify with this a lot, and it's something that I've been thinking about a lot lately already. Okay, so he says, I found that the chief difficulty for most people was to realize that they had really heard new things, that is, things that they had never heard before. They kept translating what they heard into their habitual language. They had ceased to hope and believe there might be anything new. Okay, and that is so true for me personally, and I think for a lot of us. And all of the things that have happened in my life lately have led me to really question the wisdom of doing that, because I think that that is something that we do for self-preservation. It's how we learn from our mistakes, learn from our experiences. I mean, it's a natural thing to do, and I'm sure it has its purpose. Definitely it has its purpose. So basically what I mean is, for however long in the beginning of your life, I don't know what point this stops, I'm sure it's a gradual process, but when you start life, everything is new. Everything is new, and everything you encounter, you have to make sense of for the first time, and categorize and identify everything that's happening, and bestow meaning on things, and make sense of your world and the people in it and how you relate to them and all of that. And I think that for the first part of your life, you're open to new experiences in a way that you slowly close off to. You slowly lose that. And I think that, like for me, I know that when I encounter people now, I'm starting to realize how much of the way that I relate to people and the way that I interpret people's actions and situations that I find myself in has to do with associations that I've made in the past. So, for example, if somebody's behaving a certain way towards me, I assume that if someone else in the past has behaved that way, I assume that the motives are the same and the results will be the same, and I react accordingly to protect myself from repeating the same experience if it was a negative one. And I think that that's where a lot of these, when you have a trauma or a unpleasant situation going on in your life, or just pain, painful situations, or behavior, more accurately, not even situations, but things that you're doing to cause yourself pain, things that I do to cause myself pain. it's been suggested to me to look back at my childhood, for example, and see if there's anything that may have happened that caused me to make associations and to form explanations that later on can become assumptions that I put onto new people in new situations. It doesn't really even matter what those things were. That's not the point. And I've always really rejected that kind of method of, therapy or whatever, delving into your past and dragging out all your traumatic things from your childhood and all of the things that happened, because I think everyone has things that happened that affected them adversely. I don't have any interest in going back over my past and being like, oh, my dad left and this and that and dwelling in that stuff. But I was talking to my counselor about this actually a couple days before I read that quote, and he said, it's not about what happened. That's not the point. It's how it affected you, what you believed about these situations, and what beliefs they created about you and yourself. That's the thing that you need to look at, because that's the thing that will create ongoing cycles and patterns and cause you to, again, like this quote is saying, interpret things into your own habitual language, which is made up of those early experiences and then all the experiences that you had since then that reinforce those beliefs about yourself and about the world. You hear people say, oh, I always have such bad luck, or I always, whatever. I can't think of enough examples, but how many times do you think those experiences were actually a result of you expecting them to happen because they'd happened before, instead of actually entertaining the idea that things could turn out differently for once? It's hard to have hope and to be open to new things, because it always opens up the door to disappointment and hurt and pain and humiliation and regret and all of that stuff. But you know what? I'm starting to realize that there's no other way to be if you want to have a fulfilling, exciting, meaningful, rich life. You have to be open to that pain by being open to the new experiences and being willing to see things in a new way. It's got to be that way. For me, it has to be that way. I have to really challenge those assumptions. I can't just listen to them anymore, because for me, they make a lot of trouble, a lot of pain, and they need to go. Because it's true, like, the experiences that I've had so far in this life is such a tiny fraction of the possible experiences that there are to be had. How can I possibly think that I already know what to expect out of life? That's ridiculous. The only way that would be true is if I make it true by refusing to entertain the possibility of other things and other experiences. So I guess I'm just realizing, for me, I'd rather take a chance and be naive and even gullible and be open and be dare to hope and expect that I haven't seen all there is to see of life. I'd rather be like that and get hurt than to be closed off like I had been for a while there and be safe but be basically dead. What's the point when you get to that stage where you think there's nothing new, life doesn't hold any more surprises or mystery or anything unexpected? God, it's hard to open up and be open to new things, but it is so worth it. So anyways, that's just been on my mind the last few days, and just realizing you have to have hope. You have to have, the worst that can happen if you actually entertain the idea that something new can happen to you is that you'll learn from it if it goes badly. But it is far better than the alternative. Closing yourself off and just becoming dead inside. It's so much better. So that's my there's WhisperSister Philosophy Hour for you. I know you were waiting with bated breath.